Culture and history is one of the biggest things that's always inspired me. I love telling the African American story, the African diaspora story. I look for it. When I'm in little places, I can see the history in the architecture, in the atmosphere, in the furniture, and I'm always playing in my mind how the generations arrived where they are. I'm always looking for history, even in the present. And it's really inspiring to understand the migration of African Americans in this country and know that the struggle to build this country was on the backs of many Americans, many immigrants. And telling that story means going back to the South and seeing how we worked our way, we toiled the soil, and what the details of that clothing look like when we decide to move to the north. What does that look like? How do we wear our possessions on our backs and travel north? All of those details of story and culture, migration, the building of America, coming into the northern cities and acquiring wealth and prosperity, owning our own businesses, and how does that compare to another culture that's side by side with us that may have more generational wealth as we climb our way into being independent and free. What does freedom look like for African Americans? And that's the story that I love to tell because it's so ever present in the photography that you see of different eras. We have told our story through these photographers, and luckily it's here for a costume designer like me to examine and recreate. And the recreation of that story is multi-layered. You really just can't take a garment and put it on a actor and put them in the scene. You really do have to work on the garment and work on the costume. Shoes, sometimes they tell the story of just being the only pair a person owns. So you might see a man dressed in a beautiful suit, but his shoes are dusty. And so, like, stories that tell the cultural story of African Americans in this country are the thing that inspires me when I look at the photographs of Gordon Parks or James Evandersee or Teenie Harris and many photographers that I don't, unknown, but their picture collections are there for us to enjoy. There's not one route to figuring out character through costume. It may be that you read a book and the words of the story inspire the idea for where you're going to go next. So you read a book and you find out about, the person's home and their journey or their day, and it tells you a lot about them. And so it will direct you to looking for images that also support that story that was being told. If you don't have a story, maybe it's the world building that you're going to use to start very big and broad. Okay, what does everybody look like during this time? What was that world like? And you assemble and assemble, and then maybe there's one thing that sticks out that really does give you the character you were looking for. And sometimes it's very hard to land on it. But when you do land on it, no one picture is going to give you everything. You have to continue to dig. You use your one inspiration photo and you say, what is it about this photo that is giving me, so much love, so much life? and you look at the fabrics of the garments, and then maybe you bring those fabrics, you seek out those fabrics, and you say, wow, I didn't realize that it was denim, or I didn't realize that it was wool. And once you start seeing the fabrics next to the image, you can ask an illustrator to do a sketch, or you can do the sketch yourself and bring in the tone of the denim, bring in the color, bring in the texture. There are several ways to find your inspiration.
If you're enjoying the content, like and subscribe.